Oh dear, wrong hole. Wrong hole. Sorry, that wasn't a great way to be greeted, was it? Too funny. Oh, hey Lauren, how you going? So you got the bell. All righty. I actually nearly forgot to do today. How funny is that? I came home. I went and done a few things in town. Went for a bit of a shop. And I got back and I thought, oh, I'm just going to go and chill out for the afternoon. I've got some appointments later, and I thought, oh, I'll just chill out for the afternoon and watch some Supernatural. And then I went, oh, that's right. I've got to go and do a little bit of a live for you guys. No bell. No bell. It's the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, sorry. Silly humor. Okay. I'm absolutely freezing today. I cannot get warm. I've been out since early this morning doing what I needed to do. So I got home and I thought, wow, it's so cold. Hello, Jane. How are you going? The reading or daily? Oh, too funny. All right. What did we get out? The Journeyman. The Journeyman. There we go. Oh, that's nice. Okay. So he is about adventure, independence, travel, a long path ahead, we hope. This card speaks to the need to perfect skills in working and living, but it acknowledges having a sound grounding in the basics, optimistic innocence and willing to learn. Oangus also shows us that intuition serves us well, but only if we pay attention to it. Sometimes we are operating from theory alone, and our knowledge may or may not be well grounded in reality. This card does not necessarily refer to exclusively to beginnings. It can also signify a progression along a path, moving into the unknown from the known, a new phase in an ongoing process. The card may also represent untested concepts or ideas and suggest a need for balance between the intuitive and the rational as one approaches the unknown. Consider, where are you going? What are your long-term goals? What are you doing that is helping you to move forward towards them? And it's funny, isn't it? Because it's sort of like a leap of faith in the card. And you're going on a journey. But it's sort of like making sure all your details are right along the way. Yeah, I think I might need a hot bath. I'm going to go and have a lay down and have a bit of a sleep. I didn't have a great night last night. So I'm a bit sort of like bamboozled by that card. I think I'll read up a little bit more on it later. So it talks about going on a journey, but making sure that before you set out on a journey that you've got everything how it should be. Yeah, like it's sort of like taking a leap of faith, but also realizing that a lot you might encounter or that you start off on may be because you need to make sure that, you're not just going with logic. You have your intuition with you. Okay, that wants to come out. We have the card of the Nightingale, which is loving messages from spirit, enchantment, and voice. My creative soul sings through the night, bringing healing and light. Focus on building your connection to your true self so that you do not depend on outer circumstances for strength or security. Okay, now I've got it. Okay, your soul connection is your true support in life. You do not need to feel limited or afraid of external conditions, as they can be transformed through the magic of your soul voice. You can influence the environment around you through conscious choices rather than worrying. An environment may have a negative effect on you. Practice speaking your truth unconditionally and spontaneously from the heart. You can cast a loving spell of enchantment to inspire and heal others as you do so. So this is about using all of your senses at once. It's not just about doing something or going on a trip, going on a journey, going through life, just relying on one of your senses. So whether that's logical, whether it's intuition, whether it's practical, they're saying you need to do all of those things to be true to yourself. So there you go. So that sat well after that. The bell, the bell. Actually, Gillian, I nearly did that very same thing when somebody came through and said something about the bell. I nearly did exactly the same thing. The bells, the bells. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I don't know why it's so cold today. I think that the rain, normally when it rains, it's sort of quite mild, but today and yesterday it's been quite cold. I had my heater up really high yesterday. And today, because I've been out, I've been in the car, I've had the heater going. When I got home, it was really cold inside. Have your ducks in a row before you go. Beautifully said, Jane. Perfect. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Quite interesting. All right. So I brought something up to show you today because we were talking about this yesterday. So in my little bag of goodies, I have one of my original tarot decks with a crystal. Yeah, I think I prefer it in the 90s. Hey, Rebecca, how are you going? So that's one of my original decks. Now, the one I had before this died completely, and this one's not really too far off dying. As you can see, it's pretty had it. But I love this one because it's little. But what I did was, because I carry that one with me, and I do have a big one as well. So when you see the size of my little old one, it's quite small compared to these. But I still use this one, but I just don't use it for other people. I sort of keep it more for myself. But you can see, look at it. It's antique. It's probably older than some of the people in the room. I'm sorry, but it is. So I thought I'd show you that because it's so beaten up and battered, but it's so well loved. So, and I do take it with me everywhere, but I only use it for myself. It's very worn in, Lauren. Very worn in. It's probably about 30 years old. Would definitely be over 20, that's for sure. Okay, so today I thought we'd have a little play with the Rider-Waite and the reasons why I like the Rider-Waite. So we've got a class on this week, so I won't get into some of the intricacies of it, but I thought it'd be really nice to show you some of the things we were talking about yesterday, which is so important. Oh, I have the King of Cups coming straight out. Yeah, it's a bit small to use on here, but so I thought we'd have a little bit of a play because I thought after yesterday we talked a little bit about the Emperor, because in the deck I had, remember, he's quite good looking and quite handsome. And then I was watching a reader. Now, you asked me yesterday about readers, and I wrote two down that I think are really good. Awakening to Spirit. I really love her. I love her very down-to-earth attitude. She's a little bit sort of different, but she's very, very good with her readings. And Gem Tarot, and she's English, and I find her I love her humour. So if you're looking for new people to watch, both of them are very, very accurate in their readings, but also sort of combine some of the more sort of deeper challenges within their readings. Then they're quite good. But one of them was reading last night and said something about the Emperor, which I had yesterday, the really good looking Emperor that looks like, if he wanted to take you out, you wouldn't say no. But this is how the Emperor is on the original tarot. Now, the reason he's the sign of Aries here with these little Aryan Aries goats. But there was a couple of other things we talked about yesterday, which I thought I would go through with you, because I thought we had, the Chariot was one of them, I'm sure. That's the sign of Cancer. And the traditional meaning of this is about being sort of stagnant. He's not going anywhere. He sphinxes us still. He's not moving. So we always talk about the Chariot as forward movement, but it actually is the sort of period before things move forward, that stuck period. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. Oh, golly, we've got a few people on board since I last looked. And yeah, he's not going anywhere as he is. His sphinxes are on strike. See, there you go. I was always careful because I didn't want to say sphincter. His sphinxes are on strike. Yes, they're not going anywhere. So the Chariot is actually a card of being stuck more than forward movement. But it's usually the period I find when people are in a bit of a holding pattern or a bit of a sort of healing space. So sometimes when people say to me they feel like they're not moving forward, this card comes up. So it's sort of like you're a bit stuck. So what else did we talk about yesterday? Queen of Swords. See how she is. Now, when you look at these cards, they don't have the greatest deal of expression on their faces. They're quite sort of bland characters. But the Queen of Swords has her sword held high, and she's got a very welcoming hand out. But it also means she can hit you with that sword if you don't say what she wants you to say. So you can understand why she has that reputation, because she's got a sword to the ready. So it means her communication's very, very clear. You're not going to mistake that communication. But she's also very welcoming with the hand there. And that's why it gives her, they always talk about having a good sense of humor or a good approach. Doesn't mean that she won't be cruel if she doesn't need to. Okay, what else did we look at? We looked at one of the kings, didn't we? We looked at that card. I remember looking at that card, the Tower. Okay, we looked at, I'll take the Wish card. There was the King of Swords. That's right, it was too. I'll come back. There he is. Okay, so look at the King of Swords in this deck. Do you remember yesterday I said, depending on what deck you use, how the swords are. This is why I would say to people, take note of the swords, because this King of Swords is ready to communicate. He's ready to speak. Like the Queen, he's got his sword held on high. So he's ready to communicate. No expression in his face, though, but he's quite ready to communicate. But the detail in this card is what's so important. And I mean, again, coming to the colours of what people are wearing, things that are in the background. Sometimes Spirit sort of brings the your attention to certain details on a card, and then you will sort of take more note of them. But he has a butterfly above his head. I don't see him as cold so much in this position. I see him as guarded, but I don't see him so much as cold. Definitely if he's like that, he can be can be quite a nasty person if he comes out in the reverse. Often that's sort of narcissistic energy for me. But when he's upright like that, I see him being a little guarded, yes. He may not be emotionally as warm as what the King of Cups is, but he's still not what I would call cold. We talked about the Tower because I said to you in the other card it didn't have any people coming out of it. We're seeing a bit of this one lately too. It's sort of chucking the people out of the Tower. It's sort of giving you a lot of discomfort here. Look how black the sky is. So there's sort of detail like that. As I said, when you notice it, sometimes you look at the size of that. So it's not as big as the Pentacle. Come on. No, his sword's up in the Rider-Waite, but it was down in the deck we had yesterday. So we were using the Arcanum Tarot. He's got the sword down there. But it's good to pay attention to that because it gives you a lot of insight into the cards. Yeah, I've got the Before Tarot and the After Tarot, Gillian. I've got both of those. I use both of them at times. So what else do we talk about? We talked about this card because it was portrayed a little bit differently in the other deck, but still basically the same, still having choices about what direction to go in, really of making a choice. but having the world in your hands. And I think the world was not in his hands yesterday. But in this deck, it implies that he has got lots of things to look forward to, right? Because he's got this sword in his hands. Or this sword. A sword is a sharp, pointy thing. He has the world in his hands. Do you want to join me for a verse of that song? He's got the whole world in his hands. So I can't remember what else we saw yesterday, but let's have a look at a couple of the others, see if I can find. Oh, look, the wish card. Now, this one fascinates me because we call it the wish card, but look at this look on this guy's face. And really, it's a card of sort of taking things for granted. This guy's got all these cups, and look at him. He's so smug about it. He's saying, I've got all the cups and you don't have any. But we call it the wish card. So it's quite interesting. So I think in the after tarot, he may be stuffing his face with food. So I always think that's quite interesting that he's called the wish card, but he's actually looking like a real big, very well nourished person with a gluttonous look on his face. I can't remember what other ones we looked at yesterday. Oh, I know. There we go. King of Wands. Still the most handsome king in the deck. Look at the colours, his finery. And I think because Moira said yesterday something about seeing him as an Aries, and I said to her, no, I always see him as a Leo, because I think because he has these lions here. But he also has a salamander, which sort of gives rise to the whole hot thing, because he's hot. So he's usually seen as being good looking, sexy, whatever. A chubby Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser did actually get quite chubby at one stage after being so beautifully well toned in the Mummy movies. He did get a little over precious at some stage or another there. So there we are, King of Wands. But you can see by his finery, his clothing, the way he holds his wand, and the way he's looking, that he's really quite unaware of his presence completely. I can't remember the readings this morning. That's one of my favourite cards. I love the Devil card. It means a lot to me. I think it's got it's probably one of the deepest cards in the deck. It's not what I would call the best card in the deck because it can sometimes signify not so good stuff, but it's got so many meanings and I love it for that reason. It just has so much depth of meaning. And I love this. So when you start really looking at the cards and you start really seeing, you start seeing things on the cards, you start to realize all the depth of the drawings. But this one always fascinates me because the Lover's card and the Devil's card has an angel here and a devil here. The bondage, being tied to something. So when this card comes in, you know you're dealing with people who are tied to something and unable to move on. That's why it gets addiction and obsession, lust, greed, because of all of that. Why does it represent the Capricorn? And everybody always asks that. I'm like, the Capricorn is a goat, and the devil was always portrayed as a goat in horror movies going back to the beginning of time. So I would imagine that's why somehow or another, because the devil always had these cloven hoof things. So I actually think he probably looks more like an Aries than a mountain goat. But anyway, he has bat wings, so he's Batman. But I think that's really symbolic. Looks like he has bed hair. That's what you meant, isn't it? It's the goat legs. Yeah, definitely. Without anything. Yes, he does have a big wand, the King of Wands. Yes, I will agree with you. He's still not as impressive as that guy with the pentacle, though. Sorry, the guy with the pentacle's got it all. Money, So what other cards do we have here? Some of the cards that have lots of meanings. Oh, I love the Four of Pentacles. I got to say, I really like this card. So this card talks about hanging on to your money, not flowing with life, not letting go. He has no contact with spirit because his feet aren't grounded. He covers his heart and he covers his third eye. So he can't receive any messages. So he's stuck with what he's got. Nothing's flowing, nothing's moving. Interestingly enough, he has a city behind him. So it's like he's sitting on the outside of something, just sitting with what he's got, not really going anywhere. So there's not much going on for that. Doesn't look anything like Lucifer. Lucifer's hot. If you're talking about Lucifer as in the English actor, I think he's amazing. He's such a funny man. He cracks me up. Oh, King of Pentacles. Let's go with him. Look at this guy in all his finery. So if you have a look with the King of Pentacles, because he represents Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, what he has behind him. But look at the look on his face and look at the detail around him. This is where it starts to become so important with tarot that you're not really aware of. So sometimes I look at the cards and the red around his face will really sort of look very, very red. And I think then, what is it about the look on his face with this very red cloth around his face? He looks like he's contemplating something, but he's not really doing anything. And his pentacle's quite a normal size in this. He is contemplating his money, but he doesn't look that impressed with it, does he? So I always think that's quite interesting. We had a little look at the King of Cups, not looking quite so foppish in this card, but look at his face. He looks as though he doesn't even want to be there. But they slip a fish into this picture. But he does look bored, doesn't he? He looks really like he's got that sort of look on his face. But they always make him look so much like a dandy, over the top. And he should be warmer than that. He's the King of Cups. He's the King of Love. Why is it he doesn't look more warm than that? Because he doesn't look very loving, does he? He looks like he's about to head into a boxing match or something. Yeah, I agree with that, Lauren. It definitely looks like that sort of look. Okay, let's have a look at the Six of Cups. This is a beautiful card because nowadays we look at this as the soulmate card. So it's a card of being nostalgic. And I don't know about a lot of you. I see him as being in control of his emotions rather than actually hidden. I just see him a little bit more, that he's a little bit more controlled. No, there you go, Lauren. No, I agree with you 100%. How are you, Crystal Beauty? But every time I look at this card, that's what my schoolyard looked like when I was a kid. So I really feel nostalgic when I look at this card. I think it's a really beautiful card. It brings back a lot of memories looking at that. So it's quite interesting. What else have we got here? This one amuses me. This is someone trying to get away with something, trying to steal away with thoughts and ideas. He is on tiptoes and he's trying to steal, but he's only taking 5 of the swords. Is it that he can't manage the other 2, or is he leaving the other 2 behind because he's already learned those lessons? That's the card of trying to get away with something. Insert diabolical music. It is, isn't it? It's a little bit like that. And a lot of people see this card as being betrayal and deceit, but actually the 10 of Swords is a bit more of that energy. This is just trying to get away with something. This is really inappropriate behavior. I always see it as the ghosting card. He thinks no one thinks he stole them. There you go. So he thinks he can get away with it. But look at the card. What color? So the yellow represents the yellow chakra. So that's about intuition. So you've got a lot of intuition and a little bit of passion here. So yes, he most likely thinks that he's getting away with it. Oh, that's your narc card. They're beautiful. Queen of Wands. Look at her. So again, having a lot of lions around her. But she carries the most beautiful flower in the world, the sunflower. I love sunflowers. I think they're amazing flowers. They are so beautiful. In the fields, they turn around and talk to each other. But she's supposed to be, okay, let's try this one on you. She's supposed to be very warm, very attractive, and very sexy. What does her face look like? Oh, sorry to hear that, Rebecca. We'll catch up with you next time. Sorry, Gillian, I missed that. That's really funny. On the Six of Cups, sorry, I missed that question. The man in the background, oh, he's a guard. He's a guard, but he's walking away here. It's funny, isn't it? This is what I mean about seeing, in different interpretations. He's not paying any attention. He's walking away from something here. But he's got it looks like a sword, not a halberd or whatever you call them. It definitely is a sword. He's going about his business and leaving these children to their own devices. He's probably their babysitter. So there's the attractive, beautiful Queen of Wands. Nobody said anything about her face. But I don't know that I would call that an attractive face. I think she looks really like she couldn't care. The cat represents intuition, feminine energy, always about the intuition. Jaundiced. Yes, she's a bit yellow around the gills, isn't she? But look at what she's made. She's all yellow. A little tiny bit of white. So the yellow represents obviously intuition. The white is a little bit of peace. And the red represents passion. So she looks like she's really sitting in her intuition. She is very masculine. That's what I think too. And yet this card really represents the strong feminine. Do you think it's funny that they've made her look so masculine because she's a strong feminine person? I think that's quite interesting. So in other words, if we make women look more masculine, they're more powerful. Is that how it works? So I think that one's interesting. What else do we have here? I love him. I love the Knight of Cups. He is the knight on the white horse, the librarian type. You're a shocker, Sarah. That's too funny. But look at his face. I think he needs to take a bit of a drink from his own cup, doesn't he? I like the wings on his helmet, though. But look at his colouring. It's very different, isn't it? The Justice card. This man means business. He's probably the only one we've come across so far that's given us eye contact. Everywhere else, they seem to have their faces turned away or whatever, and very little detail. But the Justice card, he's looking you straight in the face. He's got his scales out for balance and he's got his sword up for communication. But look at the red. All behind him, all around him, red and green. So obviously the green is about having a heart, so that brings a bit of balance in. Red's about passion. But at least he's looking. Penetrating stare. Yes. Yeah, that's what I said. See, this is why I'm saying these cards are so easy to read because there isn't like there isn't It doesn't stray from the original meaning. So it's very much about the original meaning of the cards. So you don't sort of get too much detail because they're only after showing you what the meaning is. When you get good at reading tarot and you pick up the other tarot cards and you start to realize how much detail people put into them. The Wheel of Fortune has quite a lot of detail. So we see here the griffin, the bull, the angel. So I'm thinking the one down the bottom looks like a griffin. Then what is the one up the top? And the devil's here as well, and the Sphinx. And they're all reading a book. So that must be the book of life. But I love that the Sphinx has got the sword. And then down the side here, look, there's a snake. So sometimes, as I said, you look at them and you don't really see all the detail. But sometimes something will really stand out for you when you're doing a reading, and all of a sudden you'll just be pulled on a different track. All right, one more, and then I better call it a day. Does anyone want a particular card to be looked at? Oh, let's do the Queen of Pentacles. I like the Queen of Pentacles. She's our card if you're a Capricorn. Although I don't think we have some of the Capricorn people on today. People, Sexiest Man Alive edition. Oh, somebody likes the Knight of Swords, so I'll get him out too then. Oh, he's right here too. He was ready to come out. The Magician's right next to him too. All right, so we have the Queen of Pentacles. I love this card. Look how beautiful the colour is in it. I don't think there isn't a colour other than purple. So there's no purple in this card, which is higher intuition. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I think it comes out on the more dominant cards. So she's very focused on her money, because that's apparently what Capricorns do. They focus on their money. So you're a Capricorn too, Shirla. She's abundant all by herself. She's quite happy to be by herself too. And again, with the very masculine face. But yes, she's very, very comfortable being in her chair. She's got all that beautiful land around her, so she's not really worried about anything. She's just focused on the money. Greedy Capricorns. I like that, Sarah. Nothing greedy about Capricorns. And that's what I think sometimes people sort of get this idea. And sometimes I'll listen to a reader and they'll go, oh, well, all you do is focus on your work. And I think, well, no, there might be a part of me that focuses on my work, but I have lots of other stuff. I'll see you, Joanne. You take care too. She is a little warmer. She is a little bit more in her element. Yes, Capricorns are hard workers. I'll agree. I think all the earth signs are. Virgos and Taurus always have, well, she wants the pentacle that the other guy's got. But all the earth signs have a very sort of deep work ethic. But what I want to say is this is only one aspect of your nature. You know, if you've got something else in another part of your sign, then you're not always going to be in this energy here of Capricorn or an earth sign. So there's lots of other aspects about yourself that are here. So it's not just, you're not just the sum of your sun sign. We have, interestingly enough, we have a lot of earth. So I have 2 out of 3. I've got 2 earth children, 2 Taurians and 1 Scorpio. And then my daughter's children, the first child is a Capricorn and the next 2 are Virgo. And then she had an Aquarian. Now my first granddaughter was a Leo. So it was the first fire. My second granddaughter is a Capricorn. So we have quite a lot of Capricorns in our family. I do agree to being goal focused. I do like goals. I feel that if you don't set goals for yourself, it leaves you floundering on what you want to do with yourself. But I'm a very deep person. I am certainly not shallow at all. And when it comes to work, love, play, I'm quite happy to do a nice little mix of all of them. But it doesn't mean that I'm so focused on my money that I don't think about the other things that might provide security or emotion. But yeah, some people think we're really, really focused on our money and nothing else. And now for the lovely, who was the one who asked for? Oh, I missed it. Somebody asked about the Knight of Swords. He's beautiful. Look at him rushing, and look at the look on his face. Yeah, we are deep emotional people, but not everybody gets that. It was you, Moira. I nearly said Moira. But again, look at the look on his face. He's ready for battle here. And you know what I love? Look at the way the red comes out of his back and flies up to the top. And the horse is almost spooked. It's so ready to go, and his sword is upright. This is a person who's ready to have a conversation, but they are so ready, sometimes they blurt. So I always think when we see this knight, it's like he's got something to say and he's rushing in to say it. He's even got his horse spooked out because of the speed he's got behind this. So it's often the person doing that, rushing in to say something without really stopping to think about what he's saying. He very much means this. So, yeah, definitely a charge thing going on there, right? So there's the tarot cards. I got them out for the class tomorrow, and I thought I'd give you a quick look, not tomorrow, Saturday, a quick look at them. And they've got a crystal in the bag with them so they can have a little bit of a recharge. I've been out with a couple of male Capricorns. And I've got to say, there are certain things about Capricorns that are really nice. Like there you go, Moira. Good call. Yeah, I agree with you, Jillian. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Just because you have a Pisces, actually, I always think Pisces sun. People say that for a Pisces sun, but I actually reckon people who have the moon in Pisces are the most emotionally charged people. I don't think that they're wishy-washy. I think that they're really deep thinkers, and they tend to get really stuck in that emotionality of their thinking with a Libra moon. I feel that the Pisces sun is a little bit different. I don't think it's quite as emotional. So I don't really know why people go that way with things. But I can say there are certain signs that I have not got along with along the way, and a few of them, and a few people I don't like who come under a particular sign, and they all have very, very similar attributes. So, you're Pisces moon, Gigi. So you'd be, quite an emotional person in terms of when you get into the deep thinking stuff. Okay. Pisces sun and moon conjunct. Woohoo! A lot of Pisces there. Yes. Yeah, the same thing, Scott. I just think that people have got Pisces somewhat wrong. I've known a lot of water signs. They seem to be what comes across my path the most. I have a particular fondness for Scorpio men. I do like Scorpio men. I do like that that sort of I don't know. I'm just thinking of the Angel thing. Angel, we've talked about Angel and Buffy. I think Angel should have been a Scorpio. They have that sort of real sultry, sexy thing going on, the smouldering thing. Geminis, I'm probably the only Gemini I really don't like. Oh, no, there's a few Geminis in my life I don't like. Mr. Trump is a Gemini. Intense Scorpios. There's something about Scorpio men that's very intense. And I tend to sort of find that a little bit intriguing. You can be very cutting and cold without emotion. I don't know what it is about me, whether it's the Libra and the need to be accepted, because I certainly don't feel that I need to be accepted from anybody. If people don't like me, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem. But I find with the Libra, as I've said before, it tends to keep me balanced. Yeah, Cancer's the same. Mr. Trump is an alien. No, I'm an alien. Mr. Trump is not an alien. He's a narcissist. That's completely different. Oh, hello, Chandra. How are you going? How long have you been there for? Nobody's the best, Scott. Nobody is the best. Everybody has good and bad, and I don't even like the word bad. Everybody has likable and non-likable traits. I don't even like the word weaknesses. I use the word limitations because I think weaknesses is a really negative word. So I'm constantly reviewing my language. There are just some things that go one way. No, you're not, Sarah. You might think you're the best. You might put yourself up there as the best, but we are all equal. Just some of us are more equal than others. Denise said she's picked Gemini men. Are you going after Mr. Trump? Oh, whoa, Scott, that's a big sweeping statement. Virgos. No, I've known a few really nice Virgos in my time. Virgos are very organized people, and they make very, very good partners, very good husbands, very good providers, but maybe just don't appeal to you because of where you are in your life. Right back at you. Yeah, it's quite interesting though, because as I said, you're not the sum of your sun sign. Just because you're a Capricorn or a Virgo or a Scorpio, you have so many other attributes. Now, what's really interesting is somebody said the other day on one of the websites, on one of the YouTube sites, everybody has everything in their chart, and that's not true. So I've seen people who have absolutely no water in their chart whatsoever. And even though I'm predominantly earth, air, water, and I have Aquarius. So yeah, so I probably have a little bit more air in those main signs. But if you look at my chart, I'm all Sagittarius. Now, if I go into the Vedic astrology and do my chart in Vedic astrology, I'm actually a Sagittarius through and through, smack bang in the middle. So I think that's quite interesting, because my understanding is Vedic astrology was here before Western astrology. Oh, Lauren's just found out she's a Cancer moon. Cancer moons are beautiful. They're very, very gentle souls, so don't feel too bad with that. But what I'm trying to say is you are lots of different things. The only thing is overall, you're over your whole chart, which is probably what's the 11 or 12 houses, isn't it? Over your whole chart, you might be predominantly air or predominantly water, but most of us have some sort of balance to that. And then it varies depending on what planets were in what house when you were born. So to go and have your natal chart done gives you a much better understanding of who you are. Now, I've got to say, Sagittarius, yeah, I was all over Sagittarius. I wouldn't want to be one of them either. But I figured if I was a Sagittarius, all the Sagittarius I know would all be Scorpios, wouldn't they? Because it goes backwards. There you go. So we all have the signs by house rulership, even if we have no planets in a particular sign. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you look into your star signs. You've still got lots of other things to take into consideration. So, what happens if you are a very emotional person by your sign, but yet you're raised in a home where you are not allowed to cry? And it's your primary clean out system. And crying is cathartic. It's how we deal with our emotions and our feelings. So what happens to someone like, say, a Cancer, if their feelings are suppressed for years and years and years? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yeah, see, I'm fire too, Vicky. I'm mostly Sagittarius in my natal chart. So you're Aquarius sun and Aquarius rising. I'm pretty sure that's an Aquarius, isn't it? Yeah, oh, it's 10 planets, Moira. Thank you. I said 11 first, and I thought, no, there's 12 houses. We must have 12 planets. But whatever it is, unless you actually, when I did my natal chart many, many years ago, the first time I'd ever done it, there was so much conflict in it. I found it really frustrating to read because I know from my, what do they call it, Pythagoras chart from when you're born, where your dates go into. I know from that one of the numbers that's missing in my chart is the number that corresponds with being sociable. So I know it's been something that I've struggled with all my life around sociability. When I had my chart done, it conflicted. In some places, it said you love to be around people and you really enjoy their company and you are introverted or extroverted. And then in another place, it said something that was completely the opposite. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But after years and years and years of sort of working with that, I realized I absolutely adore people. I love being around people, nothing surer. But it doesn't mean that I don't like to be away from people on my own at times to recharge my batteries. But it doesn't mean I'm not sociable. So I sort of understood the complexities within that. I get it, Lauren. Yes, especially if you're suppressing emotions. Definitely. That's so funny, Sarah. Denise says she needs more fire. I've seen people with no water in their chart whatsoever. Not a drop. Not a single drop. Shishi, that's beautiful. Was a very stern but loving and great provider. He made sure all my brothers learned to cook and clean and do laundry so they could take care of their wives when they had children. Very different to the house I was raised in. In the house I was raised in, the boys were probably never pushed to do a single thing. And I couldn't understand that as a child. This is what I said. Like, when you think of a logical, I used to think, why not? They're just as able as I am. I couldn't understand this whole difference male female thing. It made no sense to me at all. And I ended up with my nose being smashed and bleeding all over the kitchen floor because I stood there and said, I must have been all of about 10. And I said, why should I always have to do the washing up and the boys don't have to do anything? Wrong thing to say. So it's very interesting that, yeah, I think Scorpio men are hot. Sorry, just have a thing for Scorpio men. So I think that sometimes, the way you're raised would have an impact on your signs too. So I know that there are certain people, Moira needs air. Uploading. You're liking Virgo men lately. Very nice. Yeah, Virgo men are nice. I've met some really nice Virgo men. Your future person is a Scorpio. Yes, we did talk about that, didn't we? I just get told all the time that mine's a water sign, and that's all I meet is water signs. I'm like, I'm none the wiser. Sag men in your life. So Moira's doing the Sagittarians. Just as well, see that we like different people. Otherwise, we'd all be going after the same person. He's hot. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really strange thing, isn't it? Leo men, I've been out with a lot of Leo men in my time. And it was really funny because I went on this trot of Leos. I was married to a Leo, and a Sag. But Leo men, I think, are great to date, great to have fun with, but they're not so, I don't think, they were so crazy hot in a relationship or a long-term thing. They burn out very quickly. Okay, very into yoga and not fit really. Yes, I really need to get into something as well. Oh, well, there you go. So your ex was trained to do yard work only and the girls did the housework. When my kids were born, they got to do everything. I think that all children should be taught everything because nowadays that everybody has to do everything. I think that while one person goes out to work or both go out to work, it's not fair on a weekend when the weekend comes around and only one person's doing what's necessary. That's not a fair fair, like we say, a fair crack of the whip, suck of the salve. Really important that everybody gets trained to do everything. They burn out too quickly. Yeah, I get that, Vicky. I think they're great to date. So I've been out with some fabulous Leos and Aries, and I think that they are great as dating. They're a lot of fun. They really are great to date. But whenever you sort of get into a relationship one, yeah, it's almost like they lose interest too quickly. I don't know. It's really interesting. Married to a Leo and an Aries, yes. So you're very attracted to fire signs too, Queen of Water. It's very interesting, isn't it? Very funny, Scott. Very funny. I've known some beautiful Scorpios in my time, and I think that they are, I don't know, they just have something about them. And I find when I'm attracted to someone in a movie or an actor, they very often turn out to be Scorpios as well. So that's quite interesting. So it's obviously something to do with their, as I said, I see Angel as being a Scorpio, that sort of deep thinking, that smoldering thing. I've got a son who's a Scorpio, and he's a fabulous kid. You know, he helps with the housework, he does the cooking, he's great with the baby, changes the nappy, and he's a boy's boy. So he doesn't have any hang-ups whatsoever at all. Couple combinations, Pisces and Sagittarius. Yeah, that I was going to say, I quite understand that actually. I quite understand that. Aquarians' brains are sexy. Aquarians are always those people that are a little left of center to me. They're a little harder for me to understand or to get to know. I don't know why. They seem to be a little bit sort of out of the box thinkers, so it sort of takes me a little while to get used to them. There you go. That's what my son's like, Vicky. Same. Exactly the same. I remember standing at the gatepost with him when he was about 10 years old, and these two girls walked past and they stood there talking. One of them said to me, "Oh, he's going to be a lady killer when he gets older." He was all of about 10 years old. I was like, leave him alone. Yeah, Aquarius, I don't know if you'd agree with me, Hayley, but my take on Aquarians is they are just a little bit out of the box thinkers. They don't tend to sort of fit in with how everything else seems in the world. Like they're always a little bit different. So I've known a couple of Aquarians quite intensely, and I love the way they think, but they're just so much harder for me to work out. I think because I probably am a little bit more of a logical thinker, all the way out of the box. They're a little bit more harder to understand because I am such a logical thinker, but I get on really well with them anyway. But I have Aquarius in my Venus. So I think that's probably says something about how I love people, a little out of the box, which I think is quite interesting. But yeah, a little different. I think a little different in a good way. In a good way. They challenge my thinking a little bit. I went out with an Aquarius for a number of years, and he was very different thinker, but always challenged my thinking, which was good. They have great sense of humor. They do, Gigi. They do. They have a really quirky sense of humor. Of course, I love that about people, that quirky humor. You find it hard to work yourself out at times being an Aquarius. I think that's quite funny. Yeah, I don't know why that is, Gillian. I think because they are different thinkers. They're a little quirky. But it's sort of like, you know, how you like to watch those movies that are like some of my favorite movies are just a little bit different. I love something that's, you know, just a little out of the box. Lock, Stock and what's it, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels or something. What's his name? Guy Ritchie. I think like him. I was going to say Quentin Tarantino, those sort of quirky filmmakers. I love their movies. And they are quirky. They are a little bit out of the box, but they are so fascinating. So maybe that's what makes Aquarians a bit more fascinating. Oh, you wish you weren't so introverted. maybe that's something you sort of need to, if you're aware of it, that's quite a good thing. Oh, Oprah is an Aquarian. Dirk Gently. Now that's out of the box. I haven't seen Dirk Gently, I don't think. Ellen is an Aquarius. Oh, there's a little bit of a pattern there. That's a little bit of a pattern, isn't it? Talk show hosts. If you go for Capricorns, we have some of the greatest names under the sign of Capricorn. Elvis Presley, Jim Carrey, great humour. We have really dry sense of humour. So I know there's some great leaders that were born under the sign of Capricorn. Great, very strong leaders. And that always blows me away. They're so generous with their coins. How funny. I just think money's to be spent. I always have plenty of money. I always have a good savings account. I always have what I need, but it's still there to be spent. I don't hold it. I don't save every penny. I love spending money as much as the next person. The only thing I don't buy at the moment is shoes, because I felt guilty after talking to you all last time about shoes, because I have so many pairs of shoes and nowhere to go. Dated a guy looked like a young Elvis. He was hot when he was young. I was never a fan of Elvis, but I read this thing on him once that had me totally fascinated. So I know he was a twin. I know he was blonde, but like Adam Lambert's the same. Adam Lambert has blonde hair too, but they dye their hair black. And Elvis Presley, that's why his eyes always look so blue, because he dyed his hair black. But very, very handsome when he was young, very handsome. Again, that sultry sort of thing going on, right? Yeah, Capricorns are hardworking people. Someone said that before too. It doesn't mean I don't like to have fun, believe me. Drew Barrymore, cute Pisces. There you go. All right, so somebody's going. Gillian, are you off? No, Lauren's going. Okay. Thanks, Lauren. I'm going too. It's been an hour. I'm going too. It's Thursday. It's my day off. I love this part-time silliness. It's fabulous. Don't forget to all give me a thumbs up. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Mwah. Much love to you all.